right, the time is 7:03 p.m. and I'm calling this November 20th regular meeting of the Kent, Connecticut Parks and Recreation Commission to order. Right now from the commission, we have myself, Blythe, Naomi, John, and Kate. Okay, allow me to bring up the agenda. We don't have any alternates at the moment, so an elevation is not necessary. I have moved to the agenda. I have a few adjustments to the agenda. I'd like to add 9B skiing program at Mohawk Mountain. I'd like 11A, the director exit interview, to be executive session since it discusses personnel performance. And I'd like to add 11C, Rufus Durham, as candidate for alternate commissioner. Can I have a motion for those amendments, please?
So moved.
Anyone second?
Second.
Any discussion, or all those in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. Jared is running a little late, but he will be joining us. I do apologize. I am, between Jared and I, we're behind on minutes and finance reports. He's back in the office partly this week and partly next week, and so I will meet with him and by our next regular meeting have all minutes and finance reports up to date. So I don't have anything for items 4 or 5. Correspondence. Nothing came through my email, and I don't believe we have anything through the main parks email that Jared has sent me. So that means we can move on to number 8 and our guest, Justin Potter from the Kent Affordable Housing. Justin, if you want to take the floor, and if at any point you'd like to share your screen to talk about the map or whatnot, happy to accommodate that too, or if you want me to put it up on my screen, if it's easier, we can do that too.
Great,
Mike, you skipped over public comment. Did you want to do that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Reverse, my fault. I did. Thanks, Lynn. I don't know why I looked at that as after. Okay, so public comment. Does anyone in the meeting have any comment for the commission? Okay, so we'll move back to Justin. Justin, same thing I said, still stands.
Got it. Well, thank you very much for having me. As I'm sure you've heard, we are seeking to acquire a bit of town land sort of next to what is used by the Parks and Rec and by the Public Works Department. And right now we're sort of in the process of trying to finalize the delineation of the parcel that we are seeking to acquire from the town. And the last big thing we need to do is work out with Parks and Rec where exactly that line is going to fall. Sort of in the letter I laid out sort of where we've been and where we hope to go. On October 4th, we had the meeting at Gary Hawk's office and tried to do the final delineation. And then there we decided that we need to get the wetlands mapping done, the wetland soils mapping done, which we did. And that is on the map that was provided to you. Now my Zoom skills are not that great, so if you could do a screen share, if you think that'd be helpful, that'd be excellent. Oh, you're on mute.
Thanks. Would you like your screen, Justin, or do you want me to put the map up on mine?
You could just put the map up on yours. That'll work. There it is. Great.
So, just tell me where you want to zoom in at any point or,
So if you zoom in on sort of near the parking lot there, that's sort of the main portion, the sort of the area of sort of discussion and negotiation, so to speak. So, sort of if you sit on the area called Gravel Drive, that's the existing parking lot. So in there, yeah, exactly. And with the existing dirt, the active dirt piles there, the small ones, that's like 120 feet square, and that can accommodate approximately 40 parking spaces according to the typical calculations. Now pushing that out into, so behind the active dirt piles, there is a gigantic sort of old dirt pile with 20 or 30 foot 20 or 30-year-old trees growing out of it. And so if we pull the line back there a ways, then it would accommodate even more parking for future Parks and Rec use. Now, a big thing about the reason why we need that area down there is for stormwater management, which is a newer requirement with sort of doing any development or creating any parking lot. So that area would need to be used for stormwater management. So that is what we're seeking to acquire. But hopefully, sort of figure out how we can accommodate Parks and Rec parking and your future aims and what we need. So I'd love to hear feedback on where the line has tentatively been drawn.
are the, so there's red lines and there's purple lines, right?
Yeah.
So the, can you just distinguish between the red and the purple for me?
So the red lines are the existing lot lines. So there are two town of Kent parcels there, and the red lines correspond with those. And the purple lines are going to be new lines that are going to be drawn. So
Okay. So this this purple box that covers the partially this fill
Yeah.
pile area, that's what you were describing as needed for the wastewater management.
yeah, exactly. And that's where Jared and I had a lot of back and forth on there. Because he wanted to sort of maximize the area reserved for parking, whereas we had sort of stormwater management needs. Now, we should keep in mind. So the hope is that what we do with the stormwater for the affordable housing development, we can also sort of accommodate stormwater management for the Parks and Rec parking lot, which is going to need to be done. Then also there's the water that comes down from the existing the Kent development, the old nursing home up on the hill. And if you see that there's a storm drain that runs across the bottom of the map here, and that comes out sort of right at where the stone wall is there. So it'd be great if we could accommodate some of that as well. So.
Is it basically, Justin, is it basically just a retention pond? Is that what's going to be?
Yeah. Retention pond. It might not be a pond, but it's a retention area typically. Okay. You going down to New Milford with the new developments down along Route 7. For instance, the state DOT facility, and the new O'Reilly's Auto Parts there. You can sort of see what's a pretty standard way of doing it there. Where it's a dry depression that when it rains it fills up with water. So
would you be able to tie in all the other ones from behind the tennis courts as well into that pond?
Theoretically, maybe. That's all open to discussion. Okay. So this at this early stage, it's just we're just simply delineating the parcel, and then yeah.
That's
Justin, why do you guys need to own that parcel? What about have you considered an easement?
So we'd be putting in a lot of expensive infrastructure there, and so that's why it'd be simpler for us to just own the parcel outright. So if for instance, the storm water drainage from the Kent, so that is an easement going through there. But this would be a bigger and sort of more complicated thing than that. So.
And have your engineers looked at how much water might be generated by all this?
So that is all going to be dependent on the design.
Right.
We sort of have a chicken and egg thing. So you have an expansive design with a whole lot of parking. You're going to generate a lot more stormwater runoff. Then you have a tighter design with less parking. But in order to start that whole design process, we need a parcel of land delineated to start working with. So.
Austin, wouldn't the amount of parking be correlated to the amount of units? And couldn't
Yes.
we predict how much parking there's going to be? So we could get a sense of the area of the parking? So we could be able to predict or forecast how much
He doesn't
runoff?
need parking. He doesn't need parking. We need the parking.
Oh, you don't need parking
Oh,
for
yeah,
your housing development.
We need parking, but when I was mentioning parking before, that was for Parks and Rec. So Jared was very adamant about sort of needing a ton of parking for future parks uses, and so that's why we sort of got things pushed back a bit and sort of shrank the area that we need for our stormwater management. And in terms of our parking, yes, it would be correlated to the number of units, but we have not determined the number of units. Yeah, that's all part of the design process. That is very much to be determined.
So
Oh,
your design project is being held up by whether or not you get this particular piece of land.
Yes, yeah. So first you need to get what's called site control, and then we can begin the design process.
So none of this has been cleared by P and Z yet.
Oh no, this is well before the P&Z process. So we don't even have any design. But before to begin that very expensive design process, we need to enter into an agreement with the town that would allow us to get control once we get planning and zoning approvals.
Gotcha.
but just to clarify, we're talking about parking for Park and Rec, but the runoff from the parking of Park and Rec is going to impact stormwater management, and the runoff from the parking and the street, I would assume, also that's attached to the affordable housing, would
Yep.
also impact stormwater runoff. So
Yep.
we can't talk about those two things in isolation. We have to look at the runoff from, I would assume as you said, there's a lot of adjacencies that we'd also have to consider the runoff. So I know we're not having a conversation about that right now, and we're not environmental engineers, nor are we civil engineers. So I'm not sure why we're talking about.
We're interested, Abigail, we're interested in this piece of land because we've got big plans for that park. Well, we don't have any plans, but we would
Oh.
like to have plans for that park that is
Yes.
going to increase usage. And so it's going to increase our need for parking right down there. There's a big decline right there between the parcel for the housing down to that storm drain area. And that area is very interesting to us because we're going to need additional parking when and if our plans for that park come to fruition. And so to lose that parking is got to be, we just need to consider that that's why we're having this discussion.
Yeah, and I would think that once we draw plans for the future Kent Con Park, we may also be looking at the same parcel that Justin's looking at right now. I don't know why this happens with the balloons. I'm sorry.
I don't think so, Abigail, because that, I mean, maybe John, you want to chime in here, but that parcel, there's such a steep grade there that I don't know that would be a piece of land that would be interesting to us for our plans. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but that's my understanding.
No, you're right.
I walked it this weekend and it didn't seem that steep to me. I have not seen topographical maps of this parcel though. But the question
I'm
that
sorry to-
Justin wants us to answer is because he wants to move this to, he wants a town meeting. And planning and you still need the planning and zoning approval. It's not approval, but you need the recommendation regarding POCD, right, Justin?
Yeah,
So-
that's what one little baby step that we still need to go through. And in the previous go around with the planning and zoning, what they are looking to is the blessing of both public works, which we have, but then also the parks and rec. So that this is an important part of the whole process. Now, in terms of the future parks and rec plans, so as I mentioned before, the hope is that our stormwater management area can also be used for the Parks and Rec stormwater management area. So we can put that infrastructure in, and it would make it easier for Parks and Rec to put their parking lot in a way that would be required nowadays. The old way of doing things where you just run the water off into the nearest waterway is not allowed anymore.
And I'm really sad to have to say that this commission has been wanting to put together a plan for both of our parks, and our funding keeps getting kicked back and kicked back and kicked back. So it's hard for us to even understand the implications this would have on the future park, because we haven't been able to make a plan for the future park. So, I don't know what kind of information we really can use to be able to say, yeah, like, sure, go ahead. And so unless like your study and our study can be done simultaneously, it's hard for us to be able to say what the future is of this park and what we're going to need or what we envision for that edge along the housing. And I, for one, would hate to hold up affordable housing in our town. That's not the intention, but we haven't had the chance to do the studies that we need to do to be able to make an informed decision about this. At least from my perspective. I don't know about the rest of the commissioners.
And also,
Jared,
yeah.
are you, sorry, go ahead, Katie.
No, you go ahead, Mike.
I was just wondering if, I saw Jared joined, I didn't know if he wanted to chime in, because he did, sit down with Justin and hey, Jared.
Hey, yeah, I missed the first part of this, but is this Justin what Gary came back with?
Yes, yeah, that is correct.
Yeah.
So the blue lines on there are the work that we had discussed in terms of delineating the soils, the wetland soils. So, and those are on the map now. So we have a better sense of what we are working with there. I'm not sure if you caught some of the other commission members just sort of discussing, sort of not knowing what the future held just in terms of the parks, but.
Yeah, I heard that. I don't think that the red area is anything that we need to worry about. Just to I think Abigail, you had asked if that would be something we would use. I don't actually think it's that steep. I would agree with whoever said that. I don't think it's a bad area, but I don't think it's an area that we will need, because if you go down into the park itself, the grass area below the playground, that's actually a lot of space, and most of it's very developable. Yeah, in that area, whoever was just doing that with that's me with the mouse. That's my mouse. Whoops. So yeah. But with respect to this pink outline here, that's still the area that Justin and I keep disagreeing on. If you see where it says full pile, the initial plan was to bring the parking all the way back to the end of, have Rick clear out those piles and bring the parking all the way back to the end of those piles. So losing that, we lose quite a bit of space. And, we were there the other day, the playground, the parking lot's been full every day. And I don't know what the answer is, because I don't understand enough about I don't personally understand water management practices like you guys are trying to put in. That's far above my knowledge base, but to lose that area, especially just for a retention pond to go there, is, it's I just don't think it's something we can get on board with. You know,
So
that's,
so there are multiple fill piles there. There's the more recent ones, and then you have the ones in the back that have the large trees growing out of them.
yeah, I had asked Rick a while back to get rid of both of those piles.
So pushing back all and taking down the trees and pulling out that big pile.
Yeah, he said everything that was there all the way. He told me there was a front pile and a back pile, and I asked him if he could remove both, and he said yes.
Yeah, got it. All right, so what we really need to do here is just get the delineation. We need to figure out what the parcel is that we're going to be working with, so we can bring this to a town meeting and then begin the design process. And what we get is what we get. Affordable housing is a sort of stated priority of the town to develop, and there's clearly a great need for it, and we just need to get going. So whatever the commission's pleasure is in terms of the what they want to leave for us is what we'll take. How about that?
Yeah, I just think that we put in for the capital plans, put in basketball. We are studying having a water feature in this park. It's going to also be an asset to the community that we've been working quite hard on, also trying to put forward. And we all know that's also the recreation is, adds to the health and well-being of this community. So, again, we would have loved to have been able to study this ourselves and have a site plan for Kent Common. We've been trying since 2019. We haven't been able to move that forward. So, I'm just, it's unfortunate because I think maybe we'd be able to give more, but because we are not informed of our site plan for the park, it's hard to say. And since Jared, I think, has a pretty clear vision for those two piles and parking, we probably should take that guidance.
Yeah, you guys weren't there for most of the conversation with Justin, but basically I just kept going back to the fact that I've been around parks a long time now, which is crazy to say, but well over a decade. And the problem always is parking, because we get so excited about all the things we want to cram into the park space that parking almost becomes an afterthought. But we live in a day and age where everybody drives. And I know people are like, oh, they'll all walk from town. No, they won't. They're going to drive their cars, even if they live 5 minutes away, especially if they're carrying beach towels and things like that to a splash pad, or their tennis courts or stuff to barbecue. And I don't want to see us, of course, affordable housing is so important, but I don't want to see us back ourselves into a corner in the future where we have all these great plans, we're ready to move forward with them, and then we have nowhere to park people. Because if we have a splash pad, we have a basketball court, we have tennis, we have a brand new playground that's attracting a lot of people, you will fill up that park faster than you can say a one-syllable word. So that's just my concern. And having seen it, my old park in Kent, New York, they built 6 baseball fields and a beautiful playground and a huge pavilion, and we had people park down the street every time. It was dangerous. It was awkward. It was, leads to minor fender benders. And with the vision that I think the commission all seems to be sharing with regards to developing Kent Commons Park, we can't forget about the parking. I know it's not the glorious stuff. Parking is not glorious, but it's got to be on our list. So,
but you really can't put parking in a wetlands, correct, Jared?
You can't, but it's my understanding that it looks like, Justin, you correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first time I'm looking at this, but the blue area, the blue dashed line is the wetlands, correct?
Yeah, those are the wetland soils, but Gary said, the wetland scientist said that the fill pile, obviously, that is piled in there is likely covering up the wetland soils there that he could not sample because of the big fill pile. So once Rick pulls that off, you're likely to find that you have wetland soils there that you can't put the parking on.
He was allowed to dump in the wetlands?
Well, this is very much pre-Rick. So his predecessor just put it there and did
Got
not
it. I see what
get
you're
a
saying.
soil sample at the time, I guess. So and you should keep in mind that the Parks and Rec ambitions is going to require stormwater water management, and this is an opportunity for Kent Affordable Housing to potentially create the infrastructure to handle the stormwater for both Parks and Rec and for Kent Affordable Housing. So we could take that expense and that project off of the plate of Parks and Rec. So looking at the map here and knowing what we now know regarding the wetland soils, it seems like it could make sense for us to pull that pink line further back to where it sort of intersects the blue wetland soils line. So you have somewhere in there, perhaps a little towards the pink line a little more, towards the blue line a little more, but yes, somewhere in there, I think would make it could make sense for us to sort of reach a compromise on this.
So basically cutting it like in half.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. That makes sense to me.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah,
I think
seems
that's
to make
great.
sense.
Yeah,
guess I just
think
don't
that's
even
great
have like a
if you can do that.
well-informed understanding of stormwater runoff, because I think that when we talk about Kent Common, when we're concerned about stormwater, it's on the other side of the park. But yeah, splitting it in half seems to be a great compromise. I'm just less understanding of the stormwater issue at this corner of the park.
So it all flows downhill. So the water that we're able to capture and detain before it reaches that little stream, the more we'll be able to reduce the water that ends up sort of further down. So
Makes sense.
The other thing too is that on the other side of the tennis courts is where the water usually piles up, which comes down from the commons area.
yeah,
So if he puts in that trench there, it'd be perfect for us because that would take away all that water that goes by the tennis courts and then down into the pit. So it's a win-win for us.
John, are you talking about the left? I'll call it the left side of the tennis courts, down towards that potentially, I don't know, decreased size of the pink box.
Well, no, there's if you go back up to the top of that diagram, there's just above that area where the line is, the new line is, that's the affordable housing. So the water comes down from the housing units and into behind the tennis courts there, and it wraps around the back end of the tennis courts, and then it goes across into the park.
Right, so we would theoretically grab it at the top of the back end of the tennis courts. That kind of
Right.
is that that I don't know. My north northwest. I don't know. Very bad with directions, but we'd grab it there and maybe be able to actually successfully help ourselves by getting some of that water out of there.
Definitely, because he could put Justin, you could put down a drainage there. It goes right into that trench, right?
Yeah. So theoretically, yes. So there's one issue which that I think those pipes. So in the water that comes out, I think they're coming from some curtain drains or something. It's not sort of water out of the parking lot, but it's clearly they ran some sort of pipes, some drainage in there, and it sort of seeps right out behind the tennis courts there. So I think that we'd have to work with the town to get it routed down into where we'd be handling the stormwater for the new development. Indeed, but that could work.
Okay, so I want to support your efforts to move fast. But I do think a clean copy of this would be really helpful in order to make a motion to show where the updated delineation is.
Definitely. Yeah, that works. We can schedule a meeting with Gary Hawk and actually meet us at his office, and someone from Parks and Rec, I don't know, Jared, or if you want to come and actually do that line and create that clean line on the map there. It's also just kind of neat seeing his giant screen and how he does his work, and pull that back so we can get the final delineation there, and we really part of making that happen.
Yep, I will make myself available, and then I will bring the clean copy to the commission to have a vote on it.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you all very much. And thanks for the work that you do. I have a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old who are great fans of the Parks and Rec programming, and Jared in particular. So
that's awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Justin.
You're welcome. Thank you. Take care.
You.
Have a happy Thanksgiving, Justin.
You too. Thank you.
Perhaps while you're all meeting with Gary, you can talk about getting the topo, the survey of Kent Common.
Yes, send me any questions that you'd like asked.
Yeah, and I know that you've been tracking that story about getting the survey of Kent Common.
10 years or more, yeah.
So we will be, it sounds like we're going to be having a meeting at Gary's office. So if there's anything we want to know about timing, or we should probably ask him.
Okay, well that was good. Justin's super passionate about it, so I'm glad we could all talk, and thanks Jared for chiming in there, because that was helpful to kind of understand how the the compromises has been evolving.
Both of
Yeah,
these,
I mean, if they're willing to cut that in half, I think that's great. That's honestly kind of what I've been pushing them towards all along. Before they brought it to us, before they brought it to the commission, was just to give us more to work with. And like I said, I'm not trying to be a ball buster. I've just been there. And I mean, Abigail, probably more than most people on this meeting, have seen the parking lot. It's already getting so filled up, and that's just with the playground, and yeah, if the piles weren't there, we'd be able to park some more cars, but you can just in your mind's eye see how quickly it might get out of control. And like I've said from the get-go, I'm all for affordable housing. I think what Justin's going for is fantastic. It's needed, for sure, but we don't want it to come at our expense. Unfortunately, it's just the way we have to look at it from our cause,
Yep, definitely. And okay, so I think unless anyone wants anything to add on that topic, we can move to programs and events. So Abigail added open swim based on your request from last week's special meeting on Wednesday. What are you envisioning for open swim?
I know it's something Jared had brought up when we were talking about the latest slate of swimming activities at Kent School. And we had approved the Learn to Swim and there was a senior session, and we had talked about Learn to Swim, but we weren't sure what to offer and how much to price it. And so we tabled the discussion at that time. I just didn't want this discussion to get tabled and then fall off the table, because I do think open swim that's open to all adults once a week or twice a week in the morning, similar to the program that's offered by Salisbury and Sharon at Hotchkiss, would be incredible and really used. So at that time, I think Jared, we had batted around the notion of $40 a month.
Yeah, we were
like a membership type thing.
Yeah, you had looked at some other ones, and I think that was a number that was kind of competitive, so to speak. I don't mean we're in competition with them, but that would keep us basically similar. And my concern was how much we're getting charged by the Kent School. Not that they You know, they have to charge what they have to charge. I'm not knocking them for it, but just that I could see the program running at a very large deficit for a while before it really was established. And so I wanted to make sure that if and when we move forward, everyone is clear with how we would move forward, and that it in all likelihood would operate at a loss for a little bit. You know, I have never run an open swim program like this. So, and neither has anybody on the commission. So it would certainly be a trial, you know, see how it goes, where it goes, and it can always be adjusted, evaluated in the future. I obviously wouldn't be here for that. But I think, like Abigail said, it would be fantastic to be able to offer this for the residents, especially the adult population, which is probably at this point the most underserved when you consider what we're doing for seniors and kids. And but coming up with the format for that's going to be the sticky subject, because we're getting charged $250 an hour to use the pool. So that's kind of the background.
What would be the I'm just trying to picture people using open swim. Abigail, would you typically think it's for like lap swimming or? And so
I guess it's lap swimming.
lap swimming.
It's 2 hours a week, Saturdays, and there might be one midweek day. Obviously, and I believe it's just open to Sharon and Salisbury residents. I don't know if we have to limit who we open ours to. I could be wrong about that though, so I am being quoted because I'm being recorded and it will be on YouTube. But try not to hold me too. Yeah. I think perhaps we start with 1 day a week, maybe midweek, like a Wednesday, to see if there's an audience before we overcommit ourselves.
And
Yeah.
Ken, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I like that idea actually.
And I believe we would need a lifeguard.
Yes,
I don't
lifeguard, and
believe
then
we will need lifeguard.
So we would need a lifeguard, and Mo, who is there later to teach the senior swim, because the not senior swim, but you know what I mean, the senior program, she has already said she would lifeguard for, she would come earlier, lifeguard for the lap swimming, and then stay and do senior swim. So fortunately, we would have that taken care of. So not a concern from a staffing standpoint. Might be a concern from a finance standpoint, because that's just a little bit more expense to add. But from a staffing standpoint, you can rest assured that we would have that covered.
So the timing would be early morning on Wednesdays, basically? Is that right?
I'm just throwing that out there as a proposal.
Yeah, that's what we had initially discussed. And in speaking with Abigail and in speaking with Mo, that seems to be kind of how it's done. People can do it before work, you know, get up early and, you know, go do some laps, come home, shower, then, you know, get the kids on the bus or do what you got to do. As the day moves on, you're able to basically less and less people are available. And the morning kind of gives you that. It's almost like, you know, the people who go work out at the gym before they go to work type of concept.
Yeah, the Hotchkiss, this is just for everybody. This is the Hotchkiss offering. And so it is 7 to 8:30 Tuesdays and Thursdays, and 8 to 9:30 on Saturdays, $40 a month. You pay for a membership. I guess you can go all 3 days if you would like. You re-up your membership every month, and they do not offer season passes or day passes. And then you register similar to how we have our online registration now. Thank you so much, Jared. You know, and if you need assistance, you can email Lisa. So I guess if we had questions, we could also email Lisa. But this is what this program looks like. And I think it would be great for us to aspire to offer as much as what Salisbury and Sharon offer, but we may have to just start with something smaller to get the program running and not overcommit ourselves.
How many people can be in the Kent School pool swimming at one time? I mean, what would be our maximum number?
I assume you can get 3 people in a lane. I think there's 5 to 6 lanes.
Okay.
So, and you could get 4 people in a lane. I've swam in some crowded pools. It's, hopefully you're not the whole time swimming with 4 people, but it happens.
And we have a good relationship with Kent School. Has this been something that we've talked to anyone over there about?
Yeah, they already told me $250, the time's available. It's basically ready for us if we are ready to pursue it. So John from the Kent School is on board, Mo's on board. He, like I said, he told us 250 an hour. I did email him back and just kind of threw it out there and said, we're not ready to start the adult swim because we're concerned about operating the program at a loss, because 250, et cetera, hoping maybe he'd come back with something different, but he did not respond to that email. So, and I get it, listen, I mean, they gotta, they're trying to offset their cost as well. So
what would a pilot program look like, Abigail? Like a 1 month start, like a 4 week, or?
I think we should probably try to offer it for a little longer than 4 weeks. The winter months are really when people need pool access for if they're doing conditioning or just need to exercise in the winter. So perhaps we could offer January, February, March and do a 12-week. I would say you don't want to do less than 8. I know, Jared, I don't know what your thinking has been. I think we've been doing the learn to swim at 6-week stints.
yeah,
If
so
there's a
we did
rationale
learn to
there.
swim and the senior aerobics. Most of our programs like that are 6 weeks, but they're different in nature because you're being instructed. It's a kind of a finite program, we're gonna start somewhere and we're gonna end somewhere, whereas the lap swimming is, I don't know what you would call it, right? But like, I would be inclined to agree with you. A month would be too short to really establish any type of consistency. And you also figure a month, let's say one of those days I'm sick. Well, what did I get in 3 sessions? So it's tough to really get into any type of a groove. And it's also tough to kind of spread the word and get people in it. Because we might do a month and say, oh man, nobody even wanted to sign up, but who wants to sign up for just a month, so it might not give us the best understanding of the feasibility of it. I think like Abigail said, maybe a 3-month trial would be great. But once again, then, we just have to be ready to accept the loss that will run at, and kind of as an understanding that sometimes you have to operate a program at a loss in order to test it, in order to see if we can make it work. We can't always run everything at break even or even covering administrative costs. And, that was something I obviously was very strong-willed about when I first came, about getting our programs closer to covering their costs. But that doesn't mean it has to be every single program and activity we do. We ran a movie night over the summer. We didn't make any money off that. That was run at a loss, so perhaps we approach that in this in the same vein, at least for the early goings. Like, hey, we're going to accept this. We're going to run it at a loss. We can cover it in the budget. We'll be okay. But then down the road, we'd have to decide, all right, how much longer is this going to go on like this? Or what can we do to increase revenue? But we won't know unless we try it out, because none of us have done it before. So
I have 2 quick questions. My first is, what are, just trying to figure out what the total costs would be. First, that Salisbury program was an hour and a half. Do we feel like an hour is enough per week? And then second, what is the cost for Mo's service there? So just so we have an idea of what would we be looking at for total outlay based on how much time we want to provide and the lifeguard, so that we can figure out, because then that translates into if you want to try to make a break even or close to what you're going to charge. So I don't know, if we feel
Yeah,
like an
Jared,
hour.
you know what Mo's fee is for the hour?
For lifeguarding, I don't, but I'll get that from her. It's different than instructing the program, obviously. So I can get that from her. But just to clear up what Blythe was saying. So Blythe, Mo is the lifeguard. So we
Yeah,
wouldn't need
no,
Mo
I
and
understand
someone
that.
just her.
I understand that. I'm trying to figure in, like, my mind goes to what's the outlay for a 8-week or a 12-week program, all inclusive. That means Mo, and do we want to do an hour or an hour and a half? Because that will obviously change the amount that we have to pay to Kent School, which is fine. And but I would like to know kind of, how people feel about an hour versus hour and a half. Maybe I think about, maybe if I'm getting to the pool and I'm getting in the water, maybe I've got 45 minutes before I have to leave. If it's an hour, is that going to be more okay, or is it more of a draw if the time is a little bit longer?
Well, just
I
so
don't
you
really,
know, they're really good about giving us time before and after. So if we had an hour in the pool, it would be a full hour in the pool. They would open up 15 minutes beforehand and they'd let us out 15 minutes afterwards. That's never been an issue, especially if we have a program coming in afterwards. It's not like there's any, people can hang around and chat and whatever else, but they've been really good about letting us in, 20 minutes, 15 minutes ahead of time. So a full hour would be an hour, but I'd defer to Abigail with respect to, what she thinks an appropriate amount of time would be.
Well, I will also say I was never a competitive swimmer, just an exercise swimmer. More than an hour, I couldn't imagine lap swimming for more than an hour, but I don't know what kind of conditions that people are that would be doing this. I also just wonder if we are stacking this with another program and senior aerobics comes in, maybe a lane line can stay down, and if there's a straggler or somebody that's just like, I came a half hour late, I really would love to get my laps in, maybe there'd be some flexibility. I don't know what the volume is of how many people come to a session at Hotchkiss. Maybe they had to offer more time because there's just so many people. And if I'm doing my quick math right, which again, I might not be, not including Mo, to cover the cost of the pool for 3 months, we'd need 25 people to sign up at the $40 rate every month. So even if we got 15, we'd be taking a loss, but not a, maybe a loss that's worthwhile to get the program going. And you never know, maybe we'd get 25 people. I certainly know there are, at least in the winter months, there are more people that are very interested in doing this.
Abigail, I'm sorry. How many people did you say we would need?
She's saying
I should
25
do
times
live
40.
math to you for you all.
25
40,
people, 25 people a month at $40 per.
Is $1,000 a month.
A month. Is that in the
And they're paying $40 a month.
$40 a month for the pass?
Okay, got it. Okay.
And then
So
they can
$40 a month. So it'd be $120 for 3 months if you did all three.
Yep, because you're doing, if we're modeling the program after Hotchkiss and Salisbury Sharon, that's $40 a month. Now they're offering more than we're offering. They're offering 3 sessions,
Yes.
but we are not, and maybe we can get there. From the very light survey I've done of neighbors, people think that it's reasonable to do $10 a session to be able to swim. And I think when you think about it that way, it doesn't seem as preposterous to be able to, swim for $10 for an hour.
No,
or what a
I
class
don't
of
think
any
it's
sort.
preposterous at all. I think most people, if you belong to a private pool, you're paying more than that. So I think it's a very fair. And looking at that math, at least, you know, your math, I mean, 25 is actually, I think, at some point attainable. I think the reason I was expecting more of a loss is because we were talking about how Salisbury does multiple days. But if we are just sticking to the one day and say, hey, it's $40, 1 hour a week, which I still think is all right. I mean, I even if we take a loss, like Abigail said, it's a loss that, looking at the budget, we can definitely cover, no problem. So for what it's worth, I think it's worth it. But that's just my opinion.
So if we get 25 people and they all showed up, that they could still have an enjoyable swim experience? Or we're hoping that not all 25 would show up every time?
Well, if I count the lanes, I feel like I counted the lane lines the last time I was there. I think there's 5 lane lines, so there's 6 lanes. So I think that, you know, it's a lot of people in a lane at a time.
Yeah, I didn't know if we would want to cap anything. I mean, the chance of everyone being there every time is probably low. I'm just trying to think through, you know.
Yeah, maybe that's why the hour and a half is better, because people can stagger their times more.
Yeah,
Mhm.
people show up at different times. Yeah.
We want
Oh,
it to
you
be
know,
an
there's
enjoyable
that-
program.
There's that law of sales. You could actually limit it to how many, limit the number of people who could get a pass every month. And if people are really excited about it, we're trying to figure out,
Mm,
is this a program that people can support? And if more people want to do it, then we could look to expand. And, I think when things aren't available, or people feel like they're on the losing end of a limited time offer, or, that kind of thing, it becomes more desirable. So we might actually be relatively well off if we said, look, we're piloting a program and it's 20 people. Because the other piece of it is that you don't want to just have all 25 people arrive the first and second and third week that it happens, and they get frustrated because they're bumping into 4 people in a lane. I think that would be a hard experience to continue to sell.
I think you're making a great point.
But what about if we do it 20 for 8 weeks, and we maybe, based on the first 4 or 6 weeks, extend it an extra 4 or not, depending on how well it goes.
Like a pilot for 8 weeks, and then, with the reserve to expand it for the last 4 if it goes, but we're not committed beyond that if it doesn't.
That's 2,000 plus Mo, and then we're creating some scarcity with the cap on the 20.
Yeah, which is similar we did with swimming. There's a cap, which I think has helped probably increase the numbers. I guess my one bit about growing the program after 8 weeks is just hopefully people are paying attention and reading emails, and I don't know, just keeping their attention after they've signed up for 8 weeks. But I guess that would also be part of this. I don't
I think
know.
word of mouth, would work pretty well in that situation.
Yeah, they just have to know every 4 weeks they have to re-up their membership or they lose it.
Okay, so I mean, I think we have a lot of information and a couple ideas for structure, so if somebody wanted to make a motion, I feel like now's the time.
I'd like to make a motion to offer a adult open lap swimming at the Kent School Pool for 1 hour a week on Wednesdays, time TBD. I don't know what the time would be, for $40 a month for 8 weeks, with the option to extend the program to 12 weeks. 12 weeks, with a cap of 20 memberships per month.
So moved.
Okay, so any more discussion? I think we would just want to, this would start in January, Abigail?
I would think it's going to be hard to start it before January,
Yeah, I was
but I
just,
also think that's like great advantage to starting it when Jared's still here.
mhm.
Just don't know who's taking his place and
Yeah,
who's going to be liaising with Mo.
I would say our best bet is to get the framework ready, start taking registrations, whatever else, which I can be here for. But then wait to start the program till January once we have the senior program also on the schedule. Because we bring the senior program to a close. Fran's on here, but I think we bring the senior program to a close in early December. So it could create some logistical issues trying to start this up when that's coming to an end. And I would just say we start everything all together in one fell swoop in, early to mid-January. But we can take registrations, advertise, do all the pre-work during December.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
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 I,
Any opposed? Okay, great. So Jared, you'll reach out to Kent, and you can use Abigail. You can kind of be the person who helps Jared, or what kind of is the point person for Jared as he, is transitioning out, sort of thing. If that makes sense, or
I'll do my best.
yeah, I'm not committing you to too much, but just as the
I
kind of
would love
liaison
help
for the program.
keep a program going in absence of a park and rec director.
Yeah, I didn't mean
No,
you
I
get
want
your
to.
lifeguard certification by January 1.
I don't get my kids to school.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. So we added 9B skiing program at Mohawk Mountain. Abigail, there was
Yes,
But
thank you
this
so much
also
for
will-
adding these two things. They were kind of some things that just have fallen off the table a little bit, and I'm worried about time and Jared's time left. So Jared, I don't know if you have an update for us on Mohawk. I know you said when we discussed it last, that Mohawk was still organizing.
Yeah. So the last
themselves.
meeting they had just sent over, because they had a new web portal. They just sent it over, and I had hoped to get it started before I left for vacation, but I wasn't able to. But I should have it done tomorrow. So it should be out tomorrow, and we don't start till mid-January, so we still got a solid month and a half for sign up, so we should be good.
So Jared,
you.
when is the program going to be out? You said the program, you should have that up and running on the website tomorrow?
Yeah, I should have it all set tomorrow. I'm working tomorrow, so
Okay, great.
yeah, it's not super hard to set up. So I just got to update our flyer, their prices went up, things like that. I just got to update all the info on the paperwork that we disseminate, and then should be good.
Okay.
all right. Anything else on that? At number 10, parks and
Really grateful
facilities.
for winter programs. Yay.
Parks and facilities, anything Jared or John that I know we we discussed some things at the special meeting. But I just left it on there in case there was anything that had come up in the time since.
Nah,
I
it's
just want-
that
ahead,
time
Chuck.
of year.
So, there is, I've had a couple of complaints from the seniors that walk the Commons Park. Apparently we took out a good portion of one of their walkways up near the tennis courts. It's now covered in chips. So they would like to go back to that 3-foot wide spans that we have all the way around, so.
Yeah, it's a very, very small part. And Ed is aware of what we're gonna be doing. We gotta get some stone dust in there and whatnot, but until we had everything finished with the playground, it wasn't really something that needed to be done. But it's on the to-do list, but definitely appreciate the reminder, John. But yeah, it's pretty simple. There's only about a 3-foot section that just needs some extra stone dust.
I was at a recently built amazing park called Resilience in Hoboken. It's got $1 million gallon tank underneath it. And I was there with the landscape architects that designed it. And we were watching all of the different materials mix, because they have sand and they have gravel and mulch. And, they were pointing out these moments, and they just said, you just have to adopt that materials are going to mix, and you can't keep materials separated. So for what it's worth, sometimes you just have to also accept that the materials are going to mix.
Yep. Unfortunately, it's the way it goes with raw materials for sure. And nature.
They did have an amazing water feature there that I will, next time if we have that, I'd love to share with all of you, because it was really simple, but really effective.
Cool. Okay, so we're moving on to 11, which is director exit interview, which is going to require executive session. Can I have a motion to enter executive session where I will move any members of the public into the waiting area, and I will stop the recording?
So moved.
Would you allow me to join, even though I'm not a member yet?
I think it's important that
I would
Lynn's
love
there.
to.
Yeah.
I was
Okay.
going to
Thank
actually
you.
ask if we could table this. I have to get off of this meeting in 5 minutes, and I really would like to get the most out of our exit interview. I don't know if it's within the cone to table this and do a special meeting for an exit interview. Otherwise, you all can just move along without me. But if we tabled it, perhaps
I would
Lynn
be
also
very much,
could be-
I'd be very much in favor of tabling it till the week after Thanksgiving.
Jared, how is that okay with you, Jared? I know why you made yourself available tonight.
Yeah,
but,
the week after Thanksgiving is fine. After that, it becomes a little bit more dicey, but as long as it's in the evening, I should be able to make it work anytime before Christmas, obviously.
And by then, Lynn, when are you official?
Tomorrow.
That's what I thought. So
Would be
that would
great.
be, that would make.
That's so great. Is anyone else need to do it tonight?
No, I just didn't want to forget about it.
No.
But if
a
we're
lot
all
of us,
committed
yeah,
to,
yeah, we're
if we're all
committed
committed
to
to doing it, then that's
100%.
fine.
100%.
Okay, so hiring subcommittee, so there was the Board of Selectmen meeting this morning at 10, in which they did approve the job description that we submitted. And so the next step is going to be recommending the hiring subcommittee to the Board of Selectmen. What we talked about last Friday was that a 5-person committee, which would be 3 commissioners, a member of the public, and then our select woman representation, Lynn Worthington. So I will be on the subcommittee. And then I would like to open it up now to see if, any commission members have a desire to be a part of it, and also to hear, any recommendations for a member of the public, to be one of the members.
I would love to suggest Rufus Duran, who was the ex officio of the Park and Rec Commission, as a member of the public, if he is willing.
Yeah, that's great. So he's now. The next item would be he did send a letter today that he would like to be an alternate commissioner, which is the next item. So I don't know if that complicates it at all.
I think that might.
Yeah, so. But so we had, go ahead, Blythe.
I'm sorry, I didn't
Would
see.
he be able to be one of the commissioners if we accepted his nomination to be an alternate? Could he be one of the 3 commissioners?
Yeah,
I guess he's
one of the 2 roles, right? He could fill one of the 2 roles.
yeah.
Do we want to move up the alternate and do that ahead of putting together the subcommittee?
I just don't know, since he's not here,
Oh,
I don't know,
okay.
like, I don't want to nominate him if he, I imagine he would be interested, but without him here, I wouldn't want to speak for him.
Very wise, Mike, very wise.
No, just. So,
Well, then I'd like
John,
to
you
know-
were on the subcommittee that hired Jerry, correct?
Yes, and then before that as well. Yeah.
And our member of the public last time was Lara, is that right?
Laura.
Yep.
Okay. Do you think she would have any interest in being a part of it? If anyone, I think I have her information because her son was in tennis. I could reach out to her, but she definitely seems, I know she's a parent that's, connected to the parks and recreation in a lot of ways.
Yeah, offer it to her.
Okay.
Who's that?
Laura.
Laura Hanson.
Yes.
Okay. I think Laura is really, really good from the sports end of things, but there's definitely some other parents who've been more involved in some of the more nitty-gritty planning ends and whatnot. Actually, one person who I think might be really good is Bethany Keck. She did a lot with ASP. She did a lot to help plan for Halloween events, and she coordinated through her job with the Housatonic Youth Services Bureau. She was a big part in a lot of events that they sponsored and ran with us. And as a social worker, I think she definitely brings a unique perspective and experience with the program. She might be someone to talk to as well. Obviously, Laura is someone too. I'm not saying don't.
No,
But
thank
just
you.
like Laura, in 2 years, I didn't act like work closely with Laura. So there's other people, like I said, who might know a little bit more about the ins and outs of things that have been done. Another person is Ed, who had a lot of, he and I worked hand in hand on all of the park stuff. So he can literally speak to anything that I've done, even with the ball fields, which I know wasn't exactly his purview. We really shared a lot of thoughts and ideas about that. So he's another person who's kind of seen more of the nitty gritty background work. So those are 2 people you might want to consider, just throwing them out there.
Might I also offer another suggestion? When Jared, you were talking about people you've worked closely with, Miranda Lovato.
Yeah, Miranda as well. Absolutely.
She knows, she understands the role, and I know she's worked closely with you on a number of things.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I had told Miranda she should apply for the position. So I think I know she's not interested in that. but I think having her involved would be great as well. So I think those are three people who definitely have seen more of the background work, and could provide sort of an insight that even some commissioners might not be aware of, some of the things. So just three names to chew on.
Okay, so I was trying to go back to how it was set up the last time, and so what's the best next step then? You know, is it to ask all three if they have interest, and then we decide based on who has interest, or is it one at a time we offer it?
I believe that when we did it last, we asked if we had, I think, two people, and we asked both if they were interested. And then I believe they came and spoke to the commission,
Mhm.
and we then had a vote on which member, which one of those two individuals would be the person. I'm not sure if we did it for the Jared hire or the Miranda hire, but I'm pretty sure we did that for the Jared hire, and I think it was Laura and oh God,
It was the South Kent gentleman,
Yeah,
South Kent
I'm-
School.
ashamed that I can't think of. I could see him. Gonzo. Yep.
Gonzo, yeah.
Well, maybe if we're gonna have a another meeting for the exit interview, we could reach out to these three, ask them who's interested, and ask them to show up for that. You know, that's part of that meeting. We could put that on that agenda. We could actually choose the the subcommittee that day.
Makes a lot of sense.
Great idea.
Mhm.
Um,
What
I
about,
will
do
also
you still
note-
need other, do you guys, are there commission members that are interested in serving?
So
Well,
we're hoping that
as-
Roof, so I'm one commission member interested. Rufus, we're hoping is a second, so we still do need a third commission member. So I guess we can say, you know, marinate on it, and someone's gonna have to step up by the next meeting.
And in the next couple months, I'm reluctant to raise my hand just because of time constraints.
Yeah,
So I'm just reluctant to do it. So if we're in a bind, I can
The
try.
John is, I'm sorry.
I'm done.
Oh, did John not, just say that he would? Or John, did I
No.
just volunteer you?
No, I didn't. No.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Yeah,
okay. Well, so I guess, so can I get a motion that I will, or I guess I'll make a motion that I will reach out to 4 members of the public. Laura Hanson, Bethany Keck, Ed Matson, and Miranda Lovato, to gauge their interest for being the member of the public on the hiring subcommittee.
So moved.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Or
Aye.
So sorry, my motion, but then Naomi, you seconded it.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. And we'll tie that into the exit interview meeting as well. Okay, so moving on to, I'll share my screen quickly. Where
I'm
is
very
the-
sorry, team, but I have to leave. It's good to
Okay.
see you all.
Happy
Yep.
Thanksgiving, Abigail.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Bye, Abigail.
Okay, so I got a letter from Rufus today. Dear Mike Perkins, as stated the other day, I would love to continue working with the Park and Recreation. If you could let the commission know, I would like to put my name forward to join the commission, either as an alternate or a member if any openings are available. I've supported Park and Recreation in the past as a coach, volunteer, umpire, and referee. I have worked closely with New Milford Park and Recreation, running the soccer program, tennis lessons, and for 20+ years, the adult softball program. I've been a Kent resident since 1975 and a homeowner since 1978. If you need a resume, I can provide one or references. Much obliged for your consideration, Rufus. So we've been, we've been advertising the alternate position for, a good while now, and I know Rufus would be a great addition. I don't really think needs to be much discussion about it. So if someone would like to make a motion to accept Rufus as as an alternate member.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Mike,
Yeah, so Naomi, if we get a second, then we can discuss it.
before we move, we just had the question about asking him if he would be a member or an alternate, and in this letter he said it states alternate or member. So why don't we just put him as the member?
We only have an alternate slot open right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we have 2 open alternate positions, and all of our regular commission slots are filled right now.
Okay, so second.
Thanks, Naomi.
welcome.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, great. Well, I will let the town and Rufus know that he is now an alternate member. So that is the last item on tonight's agenda. Thanks everybody for making it out. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Thank you, John.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Happy
guys.
Thanksgiving, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Jared.
Toodles.